So like the UK version of I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here is sending people to Australia.
Yeah.
It's an historical reenactment.
Yeah, I mean, they're not sending them to Fitzroy. You know what I mean? Like, it's not how many long blacks can you drink, brother? Let's find out. Like, and in deck, like, we're going to see if he can co-op. It's vegan food everywhere you look. All breakfast.
Your challenge is to know every B-side track this hipster tells you about. You're like, fuck. Nobody.
That's right.
Nobody can live up to Fitzroy cool.
No.
Impossible.
It's tricky. Supposedly one of the coolest areas in the world, wasn't it? Someone was saying.
Yeah. But does that immediately make it 100% uncool though?
Oh,
it's just like, hey, it made a list. Oh, that's fucking lame then.
Oh, it's like when you start reading newspaper articles about a comedian before a festival, and you know that their show is going to suck. Like if there's 3 or more newspaper articles about someone, you're like, man, someone's agent is worried. Someone's agent is making a lot of phone calls. The Guardian is calling it a tour de force without having seen it, buddy. That shit's gonna bomb.
Yeah, the pre bad review press tour where it's like, this is an inspiration, guys. Is it funny though? Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Forget that.
We're not publishing the reviews, but we are reposting a lot of feature articles about like my favorite sandwich places or whatever. Yeah.
I do appreciate that those like Guardian lists, like the top 10 funniest things I've ever seen on the internet, never involve anybody who's written one of those lists. You know, like
Oh, that's what I was thought about that recently. I was like, if I ever get asked to do one, it would just be all links to like my own clips.
Yeah.
Just 10 of my own.
Just another, are you really going to like this guy? He's up and coming.
This next guy's been rated as one to watch. This next guy just got out of prison. He wants to talk about it.
Yeah.
The last one is a link to the article of your 10 favorite things.
There's this viral video channel called Yeah Mad. I don't know if anyone's heard about it, but this guy's pretty funny on it. Or was.
Just submitting like 10 of those, like, do you see those TikTok clips that they're very popular on UK TikTok now, where it's just like guys interviewing like supposedly ex-criminals about crimes that they did, and they're retelling these crimes with like pure glee. There's not even any kind of like, yeah, and then I stabbed him 46 times. They're like, yeah, and how did you stab him? Really hard. And then like some of them are like wearing a suit and they're trying to do this like gentlemanly thing, like, well, sometimes you just got to stab someone 63 times if they don't get the message. You know what I mean? There's like 18 million likes on TikTok.
I have a podcast that is just sort of break at the moment where I basically do that. I interviewed.
I was going to say, you've done no background on us at all. You want us to describe it? I'm like, Hammer's right here, bro.
Why are you wearing a tracksuit?
So I had like a famous gangster who was like very big in the 80s named Graham Henry. His nickname was Abbo Henry.
So good they named him twice. Yeah.
His nickname was Abbo Henry.
Right.
And,
whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to say it? Because that's his nickname. But
was he a First Nation / Indigenous person?
They thought he looked like one, but he was like, "No, I'm Spanish." But then later,
I'm indigenous to Spain.
But later, his family did a check. It turns out, yeah, he's Aboriginal.
If you're allowed to say if it's a nickname, I've got a great story about Huckleberry Finn I want to tell.
That would be a great trick as an indigenous gangster, to give yourself that name and just dare people to say it.
Oh yeah, these days. I mean, it was funny because he didn't think that he was right.
I've cancelled all my enemies.
He was.
None of them will ever be on the gala ever again.
He was very violent. He talked about like there was some times when I had guests on the podcast and I didn't realize, or there was things that they hadn't really talked about much on other podcasts. They'd come on and be like, "Oh, so then I got molested," and I'd be like, "Fuck again." And
brother, someone's got to look into this. It keeps happening.
But then
this content is getting very repetitive.
I don't know what it is about. Every time I have these hardened criminals on, the story gets kind of bleak.
But no one's ever just like, 10 years at private school, very happy times.
Again, you just really don't know anything about Hamo.
You really don't.
Just precisely his story. Every single time.
But yeah, he would say one of his stories was like, then I got out of jail and I just started stabbing poofters.
Wow.
And I was like, oh man.
Yeah. Wait, can we go
was there
back?
any strategy behind that, or was that more of a passion project?
Because he'd been molested when he was young, and this was like before there was so much education about the gay community, right?
Yeah.
So he just thought like that pedophiles were the same as that all gays were pedophiles.
Uh-huh.
So he thought he was like protecting other people by getting these guys by just hanging around parks.
Some people working in the media in the 1970s are going to be very pleased that the propaganda was working. I was just tuning into Flog. You know all those articles we ran? It totally worked.
Yeah, you can question the ethics, but you can't question the effectiveness.
Can we go back to the unproblematic bit called Abbo Henry, please? That was actually the lightest thing.
It suddenly got worse. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, First Nations is Spanish, Osta Nación.
But I had to always send my guests their clips to be like, "Are you happy with this?" Because people would sometimes, it sounded like admit to a crime on the podcast,
Right.
and I was like, "That's on you if you're still okay with it." You know, I didn't want it to be my fault because this guy Graham Henry had told a story about how he shot a guy. He made the guy dig his own grave. He shot him, and then some lights flashed and he ran off. And then, like 2 years later, he saw the guy that he'd shot walking down the street, and the guy was like, "Oh, Abbo, how you doing?"
I've not seen you since that time you made me dig my own grave.
And he goes, "I thought I killed you." And he goes, No, I was all right."
He's like, "Fuck, I'm losing it, man. I'm losing my touch."
But when he told the story, I was like, "Fuck, is he admitting to a murder on the podcast?" Because
No, an attempted murder.
Yeah.
He didn't die.
Big twist.
That is the most Australian thing. They do a guy to try and kill you, make you dig your own grave, and it's like, "Oh, g'day, mate."
Well, I think he owed him a lot of money, so it was like, it's
okay.
kind of like, it was like, yeah, it was deserved.
Right.
You know?
Okay. Yeah.
But what a funny misunderstanding. You know? Fancy seeing you, mate. How are the kids? You know.
Tell you what, now that why don't we catch up over a bushwalk? What do you reckon? Would have been good if I got the words out. Would have been good.
Oh, that's good stuff. That is real good stuff.
It's good content at the time, but yeah.
Yeah.
I found I was quickly running out of crims that would agree to come on.
Okay.
I had a mate who's a bikie, and I was like, "Have you got any mates that would like come on the podcast?" He's like, "No." He's like, "We take our stories to the grave, brother."
Well, so did that guy, but it just didn't really stick.
Hey, you should get that guy on. The other guy, get his side of the story. There's a
So I was digging this grave, right?
yeah. There's a British guy that we're obsessed with on our pod who, like, he died recently, but he claimed to have been a criminal, but I don't think he actually was. But he was one of those guys. He was like a boxing promoter, and he was very adjacent to guys like the Crays and stuff. And he's made a whole like media career for himself out of basically pretending that he was a gangster. This guy called Dave Courtney, and this guy is amazing. Like, he will do interviews, or he would back in the day, with anyone, and he would just admit to just like 9 murders in one interview. He has never been to jail for murder once, and just like, I think if you'd actually done that many murders, you wouldn't be like on a recorded medium. Being
Absolutely. At least we had our Chopper Reed, who was like famous for telling tall stories, but it was backed up with like stuff that was proven and legitimate.
Yeah. The Stanley knife wounds.
You know, like cutting off his own ear, that kind of stuff.
You seen that Chopper Reed thing with the 60 Minutes interview where he does the Russian roulette with the
with the
reporter?
reporter.
Yeah,
It's fucking hectic.
Intense.
Yeah.
You seen that, Dan?
I have not seen it.
He's got one of those kind of like revolvers with the barrel that's with 6 things in it, puts a single bullet, and he holds it up to the reporter's head, and he's like, "Do you feel lucky?" Basically. And she's like, she's like very uncomfortable. Clicks the trigger. Nothing happens, obviously. And now it's on YouTube.
Then he does it to himself as well.
Oh, he does do it to himself.
He does
you're
it to
right.
himself as
and
well.
then he shows off all of his stab wounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why have you seen this?
I've been down some deep YouTube rabbit holes, my friend.
This is one thing about Milo. I think his knowledge of Australia for like a British person is deep,
Oh, yeah.
but specific.
I've watched Tony Abbott eat an onion. I've watched him do it on 2 separate occasions.
Do you know about Bob Catter?
Oh, yeah. Well, people are entitled to this. Central Queensland politicians.
Well, I ain't spending any time on it.
Yeah, that's right. Obsessed with that. What's funny about Bob Catter is that, like, he's not like a conventional right-wing guy. Like, Bob Catter will, like, 20% of the time come out with something that is, like, fully a reasonable point in a way that, like, most of his colleagues do not. And then 80% of the time it's like an insane thing about crocodiles or whatever. And those are the types of politicians I find the most fascinating. Guys who have, like, a peculiar, like, Bushido code of honor that they live by. And occasionally you're like, Bob Catter's kind of right about this. It's a rare thing, but it does
Didn't he
happen.
dress up as a pig recently to fight?
What? Already awesome.
He dressed up as like a pig to fight to complain about the greedy pigs at Woolworths and Coles.
I mean, fuck.
He wanted to be cast in the Australian Peppa Pig.
You got to see.
Would have been impossible to make that point without being dressed as a pig.
yeah.
I just understand what you mean, Bob. All right, one sec. I'll be back.
I'm pretty sure.
Well, he went to Goliath, you know? He's got that
Goliath, yeah.
He's got that visual
Oh
sensibility.
my God! First Google thing: Bobcat a pig. Here we go. We're on here. Yeah, wow. He dresses a pig.
How big
Independent MPs dresses pigs in supermarket stunt.
Let me guess. Is it just ear and snout, or has he got a
He's
full
got a
onesie
Full
going?
pig.
Oh my
Full
God.
He's like an
inflatable pig.
inflatable.
Giant pig outfit.
Yeah.
Good on him.
Amazing.
Love that stuff. He knows how to get the news. And that was
he
before he
does.
dressed up. Everything he says is also usually just absolute dynamite.
He's going to have a go at one of the big betting companies and go as one of those inflatable horses that he's the jockey on top of.
The cost of Australian museums are too high. Dressed as a dinosaur.
Yeah. I would love that. Bobcat a dinosaur.
So I Googled you before, right?
Okay.
Because I want to know a bit about Milo. You
clearly-
spent time in Russia.
Yeah.
That's what I want to know about, right? Firstly,
Okay.
why did you go to Russia?
Why did I go to Russia? Good question.
You turning this into an interview podcast? What the fuck was that? Researching a guest?
Nah, because I want
Asking a question?
And my nickname while I was there
My
was
old
this
podcast
peculiar
will kick it
Russian
in.
slur.
Have you killed anyone?
Not officially. Yeah, there was basically a good friend of mine when I was at uni was a Russian guy. I went to Moscow a few times with him to hang out, and then I was like, oh, I reckon I could. I picked up some of the language. I was like, I reckon if I go there for a year, I could speak it fluently. So when I graduated, I moved there. And the original plan was to go for like 9 months, and then I got this job as a comedian on Russian TV, and then I stayed for 3 years.
So your Russian was good enough to be on Russian TV?
Yeah, by the time this happened, when I was there about 6 months already, so my Russian was a lot better than when I'd arrived.
So were you performing in Russian?
Yeah,
Yeah, wow.
which was the only way to do it there. Like you could do gigs in English, but they sucked real bad. Like because there were like almost no expats left. So the people who would go to, there would be like Russians who wanted to practice their Russian. So they would just laugh if they understood what you'd said, which was not often.
Do Russians laugh weird?
Yeah. Oh, the weird thing Russians do is they clap instead of laughing. If
That is the weird thing Russians do.
Yeah. They'll laugh if it's like really funny, but if it's like moderately funny, they'll just clap, which is like the most patronizing. It's like you're in a school nativity or something. They're like, go on, yes, it was a joke. You tried to make me laugh. You have not succeeded in this case, but
I do like the idea that it's just like, yeah, they just started doing that like it wasn't a big part of staying alive in Russia for a bit.
Oh, yeah,
Someone
yeah,
pauses speaking in a public forum. Probably clap, just in case. Just in
all
case.
Stalin wanted was a laugh. He was doing good gear up there. He was doing great gear up there. They were too scared to laugh. Yeah, it's like when I do stuff about the dead parents thing. You know, people are like, "Whoa, can we laugh at that?" The same with Stalin. You know,
That might not have been there on Google, but Milo's parents are dead.
just dropping that
Just
in.
putting that in.
No, Hammer Googled Milo's parents as well. Not as many results.
Oh, don't do that. That stuff, yeah. I did have a gun pointed at me in Russia once. So basically, I was flying back from Spain. I'd been on holiday with a couple of mates, and they were going back to London, and I'd left my phone in the hire car. And then they'd found it and they'd taken it back to London. So I turn up in Moscow, I've got no phone. So I get my laptop out because I don't have the keys to my apartment. So I Skype my flatmate through the laptop on like the airport Wi-Fi, and I'm like, "Where are you at?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm at the dacha. Like, come to the dacha, like the country house." And he's like, "We're going to this rave." So then I walk out and I can't get an Uber, right? Because I don't have a phone.
Yes.
And the one rule of Russian airports is never get in a fucking airport taxi because they're just there to like rip you off. Like there'll be a load of Chechen guys like brat, yedim, like this kind of. And then so eventually I got up to a guy and I'm like, "Look, I do need a taxi, but I live here. I know how much a taxi costs." And then he's like, 4,000 rubles, which is like, I don't know, like $90. And I'm like, no, absolutely not. And then I start walking away and he just goes 3,000. and I'm like, fuck you, man. And I'm already walking towards another guy and he's like 2,000. I eventually get him down to like 1,500. I'm like, whatever, let's go.
Yeah.
So then he picks me up. We drive out to the dacha, which is not super far from the airport. And I turn up at this. He's directed me to this place. It's like a kind of like abandoned building where they're having this rave, which is weird because it's in like a super bougie area of the countryside. But there's just these kind of like, I can only describe it as like ruins where where this is going on. I turn up, but I've got like a full suitcase with me because I've just come back from holidays. So I find my mate. I'm like, what am I going to do with this fucking suitcase? And then he's like, oh, no problem. Like, there's a guy, he's running the rave. He has a car. We'll put it in the boot. Right. So then we go find this guy. He's got like a larder. He opens the boot. He locks my suitcase inside. we're high, whatever, like 6 a.m. we want to go home. So we go back over to this guy, and then he's like, oh, I don't have the keys to the car. There's a guy in the passenger seat, he has the keys. So I go around to the passenger seat, and there's this guy like asleep in there. And so I just kind of like knock on the window. He wakes up. I kind of like smile and wave, and then I open the door to talk to him, and he turns around and just puts like a Makarov in my face. And I don't know how to explain this, but in Russia, it's just like you can just tell by someone's vibe what's going on, and I've never felt more certain that someone was not going to shoot me. It was like a weird, like if that happened in London, I would be scared shitless, but like in that context, I was like, you found that in your granddad's sock drawer or something. Like this isn't, you are not a tough guy. And he puts this gun in my face, and then he's like, why are you trying to rob me? And I'm like, if I was trying to rob you, why would I have woken you up first? And then he went, good point. And I was like, yeah, I just need my suitcase.
I'll be honest, I thought your taxi driver was going to be the guy to pull the gun on you.
Yeah, I thought that was a twist, plot twist. But also, like, a gun pointing in your face, I've never felt like I was going to get shot less. And I'm like, what about all the times when a gun wasn't in your face?
Oh, yeah,
now,
true,
right now. You're like, man, there's a fucking
I'm
risk.
not sure about this guy.
Concealed carry is what scares me. When I can see the gun, it's fine. You know, that's just all
those
show.
probably are the scarier guys. The concealed carry guys. Russian taxi driver. Well, a taxi driver in Russia is never Russian. They're usually from like Kyrgyzstan or something. Much more likely to like recommend you a brothel or tell you about the price of housing in Bishkek and invite you to go and stay with their wife. Be like, you can buy an apartment there for this much money. You should move to Bishkek. And I'm like, motherfucker, you left Bishkek. You're here. And he's like, it's beautiful town, beautiful town.
Bishkek, was that Kyrgyzstan?
Kyrgyzstan.
Yeah, right.
Have you been? Do you know about the stands?
A little bit.
See, like,
you got the K-pop stands.
I was like, all those countries, I'm just like, I got no concept at all.
I'm probably going to get heat for this. There's some of them like
Dude, I don't know if you know this. The people who listen to this, no, you'll be fine. You could say fucking anything.
No, I just mean it because I haven't really been to the stands, but based on having met a lot of people from the stands in Russia, you're sort of like Uzbekistan stuff down there, and kind of like places like Dagestan and Chechnya, which are still in Russia. They're sort of a bit more like kind of like Turkish culturally. It's like a bit more, the food is a bit more Turkish and stuff. They speak kind of like what they call Turkic languages, like they're similar to Turkish. And then once you get more into like you're kind of like Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, that's when it gets a bit more like kind of Central Asian. So there's kind of people like look a bit more Central Asian rather than looking like more kind of like Middle Eastern like they do down there. But Kazakhstan in particular is like 40% white Russians.
That's a lot of cocktails.
Amazing stuff. So like northern Kazakhstan is all Russian, and southern Kazakhstan is like all kind of like ethnic Kazakhs. But southern Kazakhstan is like very underdeveloped. I've got a Russian friend from Kazakhstan who said that he went like he was like southern Kazakhstan is crazy because they play this game there where it's like polo, but you play it with a dead goat. Like you're on.
Whoa!
What's the dead goat replacement?
Yeah,
the ball.
The ball.
So you're on horseback. There's a dead goat, and you have to like grab it by the leg, and you have to like throw it over a line or something. I forget what it's called. I think they play it in parts of Afghanistan too.
Because were you seeing people riding dead goats?
Yeah.
Is what we were all saying.
No, I was like, maybe they're like the hammer. Like you just swing the dead goat and it hits the ball.
I was picturing them riding the dead goats like I saw in London one time a whole bunch of people playing Quidditch, and they just
Oh man, that's so bad.
Running around with like just sticks between their legs. But I was just picturing that with goats.
When I was on exchange in the States, they had a rugby team, and we played in the rugby team, and it was like not taken seriously at all. They didn't have a football team; they had a soccer team.
None of them had even eaten each other's cum. They weren't remotely taking the game seriously.
Well, by the end of the season,
bonding lads.
None of them had ever pissed themselves on a nightclub dance floor. Like, come on.
But they had two playing fields. One was significantly better than the other, and on Thursdays we couldn't train on the first playing field because it was reserved for the Quidditch team.
Which I don't think they even call Quidditch anymore because they try to separate themselves from from J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
Come on, you're kidding. Quidditch has got a rebrand.
Yeah.
What are we?
They got a rebrand.
What are we calling it? Come on, Hammer. You anywhere near this?
Being a loser. It's a loser ball.
Quiffle ball or something. I don't know. I can't remember. But
I thought wiffle ball was another sport.
Quiffle? I don't know.
You got whiff waff, which is ping pong.
Is whiff waff ping pong?
Yeah.
That sounds.
You ever seen that Boris Johnson video where he's like, "We call it whiff waff"? It sounds a lot less racist than ping pong. I would argue for a sport that is massively popular in East Asia.
Okay. All right, you make a good point. You make a very good point.
Speaking of like rugby
ball?
shit.
Snitch ball would have been problematic.
Snitch ball for
Yeah, certainly where you've been.
that was actually a yearly event at the prison. Snitch ball.
Snitch ball. When I was at uni, I knew like a couple of guys who were like not rugby players, and they lived in a share house with all of the rugby players who were like, when they were sober, they were like normal guys, and when they got drunk, it was like a real like Jekyll and Hyde situation. Like you'd just be like, you just couldn't be around them. And I remember like one time going around there for a house party, and one of the guys was away for some reason, so they burned all of his garden furniture because they just thought that would be funny. And the argument they used was that if it belonged to any of the rest of them, it would have been burned long ago. And that made perfect sense to them.
Well, in their defense, it is funny.
Yeah, we are proving it.
Yeah. But the funniest thing was they had this star chart up on the wall.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
In a rugby house.
Oh, believe me, this takes a turn.
Sure.
So they've got a star chart up on the wall, and everyone lives in the house, have their name next to a star. And what happens is you earn stars.
Can I guess? By having sex with a girl from that horoscope?
That would be good, but no.
Oh, okay.
It was actually a Chinese zodiac system that they used. No, so basically what happened was you had to earn a star on your star chart, you had to do a challenge set for you by the other guys. So this was stuff like eating a urinal cake from a nightclub toilet, pissing yourself on a nightclub dance floor.
It's just like a long form scav hunt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, because when you said star chart, I generally thought it was like signs of the zodiac.
I thought horoscopes too. That was
like,
my thought.
Yeah. As in Mercury's
suddenly-
retrograde, that kind of
I'm
vibe.
getting flashbacks to all my years playing rugby of like just the dumb challenges. I remember being in a pub and someone going, I have my idea to set off the fire extinguisher. And I just like came into the middle of the room, just fucking spraying it everywhere. And
How many stars
I
did you
love
get?
how you're like, prison was fine, rugby camp, well, that was inhumane.
Dude, again, just like when you were saying like rugby people, and I'm like, fuck, you don't know anything about Hamo, do you? Like literally every person you've described is Andrew Hamilton on this
Okay,
podcast so
You see
far.
these fuckwits who do dad jokes on social media? Am I right?
The best bit of it though was like one of the normal guys. His mum came round one day.
Normal guys?
Yeah, and she's like, oh Sam, you don't have any stars on the star chart. Why don't you have any stars? And he's like, Mum, believe me, just leave it at that. You do not want me to have a star on that chart.
any urinal cake's pretty rough.
Dude, we did that as part of the scav hunt we did.
Any urinal cake?
No, it was you had to lick a urinal cake.
Oh.
But like I remember we did it at Bar Broadway in Sydney at like 2 a.m.
That's scum.
Oh, that's soaked up a lot of stuff by then. You really want to eat a fresh urinal cake if you're
Yeah,
going to do
dude,
it.
this was small. This had been disintegrated.
That's also like
By a
Bar
day's
Broadway
worth of
is
piss.
also like that's not the cleanest urine. That's like
This is some of the dirtiest urine in Sydney.
that's bad. That's bad.
Hey, you were
piss.
high after you ate that urinal cake.
Hey, I didn't do the urinal cake. I
No?
tried to eat a tub of Vegemite in an hour and a half and shit myself, and we're tallying the points. We all contributed.
A tub of Vegemite in an hour and a half. That's
Yeah.
brutal.
I
You're going
think
to be doing that like newborn baby shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know where they shit that like pure black tar. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, my friends are like, we should do it again. And I'm like, we
Now?
can never do it again.
What,
No.
recently saying that they should do it again?
Yeah, like maybe 3 years ago or something. They were like, we should give it another bash. And I'm like, guys, we did that when we were 20 and it almost killed us then. Like, you know.
Doing like a 30 scav hunt, like you've got to eat this whole charcuterie board. Seriously, you've got 45 minutes. Including the rind of the brie, including the rind, mate.
This is going to gross people out.
There's still some Sancerre left in that bowl, son. Come on.
You just triggered a memory of when I went on a rugby trip to Manila in the Philippines.
Ooh, okay.
And we were in a bar about like 2 hours south of Manila called Subic. And
It's
the
not
bar-
fair for Australians to go on a rugby tour of Manila. Like, they're so small. Like, it's not like... Yeah, you can go to, like, Samoa or somewhere. Like, those guys...
This was the rugby 10s tournament.
Oh,
right?
okay.
So all the big guys kind of wear out in the heat of Manila very quickly.
Oh, okay. So it's like war of
the
attrition.
Small, wiry guys are quite handy.
Oh,
But
okay.
this bar had a calendar on the wall. It was called the Blood Board. And it was a
Right.
calendar of when every girl that worked there had their period.
God.
Oh.
So you could know when or when not to have sex with them.
That is... Wow.
It's always great
So
to
they
know.
hadn't synced up. That's what I'm taking. this bar owner was collecting data. It's like, how many hours a day do they have to spend with each
I was
other?
like, fuck me, that's disgusting. Anyway, I'll choose Chloe.
Oh, God.
Was she on her period or not on her period? Let's just get to the bottom of this.
They've got one of those 17 days since our last incident post.
The information is presented without comment. It's like no judgment, but like it's amazing, is it, when you encounter something like that that's kind of like, it's so offensive that it becomes surreal.
Yeah.
Like you're just somewhere and you're like, wow, you have a completely different way of life.
Absolutely. I think I mentioned this on this podcast before, but they also had a bar where they had rum and cokes for like $5, double
Right.
rum and cokes for $4, and triple rum and cokes for $3 because the rum was more expensive than the Coca-Cola. But
Other way around.
Other way around.
But that's
Coke was more expensive than the rum.
than the rum. But they had a ladies' night, right? Ladies drink free, and I had in brackets biological ladies only.
What year was this?
Dude, that's actually
They've
one of
met
the
Australian rugby players before. This guy will put a wig on for some free shots.
that's actually one of the rules for Quidditch now as well.
Yeah, if you're playing the name brand version. Yeah.
You want to play JK's Quidditch, huh? There's gonna be different denominations of Quidditch, like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So yeah, this is Rowling Quidditch. They check you.
It was
Looking pretty uncomfortable on that broom for a lady.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, it was so upsetting in the UK when you would discover that someone you once knew had gotten into Quidditch at university.
Oh,
It was
man.
like finding out someone was doing like a pyramid scheme or something. You're like,
Oh, a pyramid scheme's way more impressive than Quidditch.
yeah, that's a business acumen required.
Yeah, like, hey, man, buy us a round of drinks.
It's so funny to watch because it looks
Yeah.
so nerdy and
Well, you
lame.
look like you need a shit as well because you've got to keep like your knees together.
And waddle.
Yeah.
It's just like,
You're running around like an anime girl.
Yeah. It's not sport, it's just LARPing.
It does look. It looks a lot like those girls that run around doing like fake like horse when they like jump over.
Oh,
shit
yeah.
as a
Yeah,
horse.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like fake equestrian.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, like,
But they take
what?
these sports so seriously.
My father couldn't afford to buy me a horse, so I made do. That's how it was in those days.
So the Nimbus 3000.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
power of imagination. Like imagining I'd look like a fucking moron right now.
That would be sick to be doing like that in the Crusades. Like just everyone else has got a horse and you've got like and they're like, fuck, that guy's crazy. We're going to stay away from him. The one Taylor Swift fan of the Crusades.
Should we do a pilot ad read?
Let's do it.
I think we should do it. This podcast brought to you by Pilot. Hard Made Easy. It's a
this me?
erectile dysfunction medication, Milo.
Ooh, okay.
And so
This is going out to the flaccid kings out there.
absolutely.
The Flaccid King sounds like a horrible gang.
They're the Latin kings, but they're in their 40s, you know? Hi, floggers. I'm current communist and former Russian celebrity Milo Edwards. I might host a podcast called Trashfuture, but my penis is more of a rubbish present. But for who? Seriously, my cock is deader than Alexei Navalny. Even if by some miracle I manage to get hard, the second I'm Putin my penis into a mean, high society woman, I'm Russian to come. No much how much I'm Stalin, sick. But thankfully I found Pilot. Now my dick's stronger than the Iron Curtain and able to penetrate more effectively than troll farms in an American election cycle. In Soviet Russia, Pilot hards you.
We did it.
There you go.
Very professional ad read. You did well, though.
Thank you. Well, I am a professional. You know?
That is true.
Yeah.
But
I've been reading stuff out for a long time.
Yeah, can you do it in Russian now, please? We're trying to go global with this.
I could try. What do we got here?
Putin, my penis. I like
thank
that.
you.
Yeah.
Russian to come?
Russian
Yeah,
comes.
yeah,
Russian to come. It's good
Uh,
gear, folks.
I'm thinking about how to pronounce floggers. Здравствуйте, бывшие. Я текущий коммунист и бывший российский селебрити Milo Edwards. Я бываю хостом подкаста Trashfuture, но мой член на самом деле очень плохо в текущий момент. Воистину, мой член больше мертв, чем Алексей Навальный. Даже если я как-нибудь могу вставать в тот момент, когда я засовываю мой пенис в злую, высокопоставленную женщину, я на самом деле спешу кончать. I can't do the rest of it. There you go. But that's,
Very good. Good stuff.
I like the bit where you said,
There's too much difficult slang in there. I'm like, how am I rendering this on the fly?
was there a bit where you said "moi penis"?
Moi penis. Yeah, that is Russian for penis. I did use a couple of different synonyms.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we had Chlian, which literally means member.
That's probably going to be our best performing reel of all time on Instagram when the,
Yeah,
when
yeah,
the
yeah.
troll farms have their way with it.
Can't wait to change the subtitles to something really fun.
So, wow, a lot of OnlyFans loved this post.
But yeah, pilot. When they finally crack the Russian market, we'll be ready. You'll be their first ad.
Yeah. Well, there's also the Russian word for like cum, the substance is kancha, which is like literally translates as like Finnish juice.
Finnish juice is so much better.
Dude, that's so funny because there's that Australian ad where it's like Finnish sauce. Remember that from a kid? It's like Finnish sauce, and they have like the Finnish people. No,
I'm thinking of the laundry detergent, no?
sauna.
yeah, no, like straight up, it's like McCain's new Finnish sauce. And it's like these people with German accents for some fucking reason pretend to be Finnish and Finnish sauce.
swamp football, and afterwards you need some Finnish sauce.
Actually, wait. It's Russian Finnish. The movie Swordfish.
Okay.
The hacker
Right.
says they're Finnish and just starts speaking German.
Ah.
Really?
Classic Mr. X.
Is that legit?
That's in so. I remember watching it and just being like, wait, what? Because like I learned German in high school and I was like, that's German. Why do they say
They
just
just
say it's
couldn't
German?
find anyone who spoke Finnish.
I love they're just like, fuck it, no one will know,
Yeah.
and no one did.
I met a Finnish comedian at the Fringe once who was like kind of a crazy guy. And
Was he the cowboy hat guy?
I'm not sure. He wasn't wearing a cowboy hat when I met him, but he may be that guy. And we were speaking about Russia, and he was like, in Finland, in school, they only taught us one phrase in Russian, ruki vверх, which is hands up. It's like that capture meme where it's like a picture of a snowy forest. It's like, identify all the squares which contain Finnish snipers. They
sick.
fucking hate the Russians.
I thought they beat them. I thought they beat them in the war.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
Yeah,
well, because they're crazy. That's the thing. The reason why Russians ever win any kind of like engagement is because they're crazy. But the Finnish are crazier than them. It's a crazy hierarchy.
And
Yeah.
Finns are number one, the
Yeah,
craziest.
Yeah. They are the crazy. Even the Russians were like, "Fuck this," because you can't beat the Finns with winter. And that's like the main. There's like that. It might be an apocryphal story about the Korean War, but the North Koreans first of all had Soviet advisors, and then they sacked them and got Chinese ones because every time they kept getting pushed back by the Allies, the Russians they were just like, "What do we do now?" And then the Russian guys would be like, "Usually at this point we go to the mountains and wait for winter."
Wait, was the Finnish comedian Ismo?
Yeah, I think that was him.
It was Ismo. Okay, that's not the cowboy hat guy. I know two.
There's a Finnish cowboy.
He's got his show is called like Drink Like No One's Watching. I forget his name. Harry Sinilla.
Okay.
Nice
That
guy.
is actually a very Euro energy, like a guy in like white jeans, white denim jacket, and a cowboy hat. He's like, "Ich liebe das Amerika."
But Milo, we've only got one question that we ask guests on this
Okay.
podcast. Where'd you go to school?
Where? What do you
Yeah.
mean? The UK.
No, like give us what school was it? What school did you go to?
I went to kind of, I guess, two schools.
Two schools?
Yeah. I went to a really small
It's
school.
going to be a two-part podcast.
Finally, we're getting into the good stuff.
Yeah. I went to a really small school called St. Nicholas, and I went to a sixth form college called Hills Road.
Sixth form college meaning like just for the 1 year or 2 years?
2 years.
Right.
Yeah. Which was like massive. There were like 2,000 people in 2 years. So it's really weird. They sometimes have these like alumni meetups, and it's like, what would the purpose of that be? It's like, do you want to meet a bunch of people for the first time?
What is this, a wedding?
Yeah. I'm pissed off I'm not on their notable alumni list, though.
You're not on there?
No.
Is
I'm
any
not.
who is
There's
anyone?
another guy from my year on there, and I'm more famous than him, I'm pretty sure.
What he achieved?
He's like a musician. He's a good musician, but he's not particularly famous.
How good, what's his crowning achievement? What would be?
I don't know. I don't think he's like a signed musician, but he's not like well known. So yeah.
You really seem to be doing a lot of work not to say this person's name.
Well, yeah, I don't like to bitch on a public forum.
You're not bitching,
I actually like this guy. This isn't a complaint about this guy. It's a complaint about the Hills Road Sixth Form College alumni.
Why they acknowledge him and not you?
Yeah.
Maybe
Things you've
if-
achieved on Russian TV.
Maybe you could ask him to put in a good word for you.
Yeah. Like I'm on the maybe.
He's clearly got the ear of the committee.
Yeah. I'm on the long list on Wikipedia of alumni of my Cambridge college, but I'm not on the list that actually appears on the page of the college. So
How
there's
long is
gonna
a
be
long
bloody
list?
fight. I think it's a list of everyone who has a Wikipedia page who went there. So I don't know how long it is.
Depending on how strict they are with moderating that page, I reckon I could be on it by the end of the day.
A hard rule that I set myself is that I do not edit my own Wikipedia page.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
My fans do often edit it to put stupid stuff on there.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I once told a story, like probably 2 or 3 times on different podcasts about how my sister once bought me a voucher for a sushi making class at Yo Sushi. Do they have this chain in Australia?
I don't think they have Yo Sushi here, but
It's like a shitty sushi chain where
Like
you get it
Sushi
off a
Hub, you
conveyor
reckon?
belt.
Hub, yeah.
maybe like Sushi Hub.
And and it's like, and then I didn't really want to do it, but I was like, okay, fine, whatever. So I phoned a couple of Yo Sushis because that's how you had to do it. And then every place I phoned was like, yeah, we don't do that here, and why would you want to? Like everyone who worked there was just miserable, and they were like, why would you want to learn how to make sushi from Yo Sushi? I am 17 years old and I don't know how to make sushi, and I work here. And then I'm like, I know.
It sounds less like a gift and more like a training to work there.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
if you're going
yeah.
there to learn, like surely
She's
that's
like,
just-
your career's not working out, mate.
And so, what are people writing on the Wikipedia page about this?
Well, like literally just telling the story and bland. Like there's like literally it's like personal life. Milo Edwards once received a voucher for a Yo Sushi making class, which he was unable to redeem.
And there's a little asterisk like unverified.
Yeah.
Citation needed.
Yeah, I do have a good fun like Wikipedia page editing story though, which that there was a fellow of my college who did not himself have a Wikipedia page, but he was well known for getting into this beef about the English Civil War. With another historian who was at Harvard, because they were like, basically, this Harvard guy was trying to discredit his research. And I don't know the rights and wrongs of this particular academic beef, but
Can we just all appreciate for a second how off-brand for this podcast this anecdote is?
Oh, no,
This
but then
Cambridge,
still-
Harvard,
I wanna-
English beef.
I want to hear about this nerd beef. Sounds good.
Maybe they should settle on the Quidditch pitch.
But the resolution of the beef I feel like is appropriate. So basically, this guy there was a section on this other guy's Wikipedia page about his beef with this guy that I knew and his like articles trying to discredit him or whatever. And this section had so clearly been edited by this man from my college, because then there's like this bit where it's like describes all of his articles like discrediting his research, and then there's like another paragraph which is just, but then he responded in a devastating article. It was like a written Ben Garrison cartoon. The shredded and handsome fellow of Peterhouse, Cambridge responded with cutthroat wit.
Nerd beefs. That's pretty good stuff.
So wait, did you edit it?
No, I didn't know. I
Oh.
think he was editing it.
I thought you then edited
That's the
it.
theory.
I thought there was like a little revenge plot from you.
No,
Just fucking with this dude.
No, I wasn't involved. I just thought it was funny.
It's the first beef that's been peer reviewed.
More should be.
Peer-reviewed
Do
beef.
kind of get peer reviewed in a way. Like we are their peers and we do review them. That's what this podcast should be called, peer review.
You're a cunt. Site Hamilton A 2023.
On one of those like aggregators that they have for articles, and it's like he's been called a cunt over 4,000 times in different. And there's like a list of all the different 44 instances of shit, 500 instances of dog.
5 instances of low dog.
Oh, we don't want
I
that.
don't want that.
Well, like a sausage dog.
Yeah. I mean, I think soft cock will be up there for ours, you know?
Soft cock.
Soft cock.
Well, you can't. I think you weren't actually allowed to say soft cock on this podcast. it's in the T's and C's.
Look, it starts soft.
We've all got erections right now. I just want to clarify that to the listener because we've been taking whatever that
Pilot.
Pilot.
Made easy.
Pilot.
I've made easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pilots do need hard dicks, to be fair. I feel like they do a lot of fucking.
You'd hope so.
Yeah.
I think otherwise it'd just be quite boring. Don't you reckon?
Yeah. Like you and the co-pilot when it's on autopilot, you know, bending him over the control desk, looking out over the clouds.
I don't know. I feel like some professions should fuck heaps, and I think pilots should. I want a nice, happy pilot.
Who else do you want fucking a lot?
Yeah, what other professions aren't fucking enough? Stand-up comedians.
Yeah.
No, they're fucking too
PE
much.
teachers.
No, dude. Stand-up comedians fuck too much. They're gross, disgusting people. And they should keep their bodies to themselves.
The problem with stand-up comedians is they fuck too many other stand-up comedians,
Correct.
and it never ends well.
Dude, I got a compliment from like a good-looking person, a good-looking lady, being like, "You were so funny," and I was like, "Oh my god, this is why I got into this industry." And then I found out she just does comedy or is like an actress or something. And I'm like, it's
I thought you
ruined.
found that I remembered I was married.
No, not at all.
We were at the pub the other night, Dan, Hamo, and I, and we're sitting at this table, and we're just like having beers, and this girl comes up to us, and she was like Italian or something, and she was like, "Excuse me," I was wondering, "Would one of you kiss me?" And we're like, "What?" And she's like, "I have a bet with my friend. Will one of you kiss me?" And Dan goes, "Well, Tom and I are married, and he's got a girlfriend, so unfortunately." And Hamo's like, "I'm not going to kiss you, but not because I have a girlfriend, because you're ugly." and as she's walking away, he goes, "Sorry, I don't kiss dudes."
I didn't want this girl walking away with confidence, thinking that the only reason we rejected her was because we were unavailable. I wanted it to be more soul crushing.
It would be very personal.
She's walking back over to her table, being like, "Fine, I licked the urinal cake. I must get star."
She was there trying to
I
win a
can't do an
bet
Italian
because she
accent.
was so confident, right, that one of us was going to kiss her.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
no,
you're
that's
right.
just...
She thought we were fucking losers.
Yeah.
Who would just kiss some broad at the Exford. Ew. No way.
We definitely, I mean, we wouldn't rule it out entirely, and I'll probably be at the Exford for the rest of the week if
anyone who's not a dude wants to kiss me.
a lot of good-looking women go to comedy shows in Australia and talk to you afterwards. I've noticed, like compared to the UK where that doesn't really happen.
No, I think what you're looking for is a lot of good-looking women live in Australia.
compared
to the UK.
That's also true.
I think Milo's more like a lot of good looking women come to my comedy show. I don't know what you guys are doing out there.
No, but I think it's also the British thing of like if you're going up and talking to someone, you are insane. Like that is so frowned upon. Like last year at the Melbourne Comedy Festival, I had to turn down a threesome, and it was like a bit of a weird vibe.
And Mary and I were very hurt.
I was like, why we got to involve Mary in this? Come on.
I'm like, Milo, come in the cabin. She doesn't need to know.
And like, so like I have a girlfriend, so I was like, no. And then what I realized is it's never occurred to like two women who have decided to proposition a man for a threesome that no is even on the table. The debate between them is purely, are we going to do this? Can we summon the will to do this? And then I've never seen two people more taken aback in my entire life. And I was like, and you are right to be taken aback. Almost under any other circumstances, almost any man would say yes to this. And you have somehow managed to like find the exception to the rule here.
So anyway, how was the threesome? Never got out of the way.
Well, I presume they went and found you.
You guys look so sad. Maybe I could console you both at the same time with my cock.
Because I use Pilot.
Poor man.
I know.
Sounds really tough, dude.
It is
Just
tough
remember,
stuff.
comedians are really sad clowns.
Yeah, that is right. We are all sad.
Yeah. Not even a threesome can cheer us up.
No, that's right. Well, maybe a foursome.
Wait, so sorry, I want to go back to the school. 2,000 people, 1,000 people per year.
Yeah.
And you meet each other for the first time at like 16 or whatever, 15.
Yeah, well, actually, because basically it's in Cambridge, and Cambridge has this system where they have like or at least they did at the time. They started reversing it now, but like none of the schools had a sixth form, so like everyone, there were like 2 or 3 of these really big sixth form colleges that took everyone. So loads of people would go in like a big group from their school.
So they just kind of like combine schools together.
Yeah. So yeah, like if you went there, like there'd be like 70 people from your school.
Yeah, right.
That you probably knew.
And does everyone just click off that way? Is it like that school hang with that school? that school?
Mostly, yeah. I was out of catchment because I grew up like just outside London. I used to get the train every day, so I had we kind of made friends with a bunch of people who also got the train there, which was maybe about like 20 people. And then I had a girlfriend who was local and had been to one of the schools, so I kind of ended up in that friend group. But yeah, it was pretty it was kind of funny going there because it's like just a very soft part of the UK. So having grown up where I grew up, it was quite easy to just kind of ingratiate yourself with whoever because people were just very kind of naive.
Yeah, because I did think about you. You look like you grew up hard.
That is the vibe I project. Yes, tough guy.
You were the bad boy in the grade?
Yeah, he started the peer-reviewed beef.
Yeah.
And
because I was at the nerd school in the nerd area.
Yeah.
and I'd come from being like the only nerd in the like slightly stabby area. So I was kind of like, relatively speaking, you know.
Oh man, I walked into that seeker position on the school's Quidditch team.
No one dared challenge me. But getting like Quidditch violence, that would be fun. Like the firm.
Yeah. Like hooliganism.
Yeah.
It's just like,
I've actually got an aluminium broom.
this is the Gryffindor brick.
The Gryffindor smile.
Yeah.
The Gryffindor smile.
Nah, Slytherin smile, I reckon. Get the alliteration going.
No, that's what I call Green Street.
Yeah, Hogsmeade hooligans. There we go. We're on.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to picture you giving people wedgies and rubbing them for their lunch money just because there was a power vacuum.
Just someone's got to step in. Power corrupts.
If not me, then who? You know.
But it was still kind of like nerdy crime. So it was just like, look, I'm not going to beat you up, but you are going to invest in this scheme.
Well, it's that funny thing, I think, when you go to like, sort of like bullying is something that exists in a certain age group, and it can persist a bit longer if you're still in contact with that age group. But then when you're at a sixth form college, everyone's just like, oh, we're probably just not going to do that. That seems weird. Oh, really? Like, we'll just form more psychological cliques. Yeah. Like, we're not going to involve ourselves with the weird. Like, there are all these like weird emo kids who would like fuck each other on the like the sofas in the common room.
What?
Oh yeah, it was really weird. Or like maybe not like full sex, but like very heavy petting, like like weird, gross.
Oh man.
Like yeah, it was really odd.
Dude, I think we all went to like all boys schools and like
And we had that too.
Yeah.
It was very much like, you don't sit on those. That's where the weird goths like finger each other. Like that's
It's cool that you had couches. We had the town hall steps. You love that.
yeah.
The town hall steps?
Yeah, that's.
Oh, where the emo kids fucking each other?
Well, it's a traditional place of amnesty. The town hall steps. You know, you can do anything on the town hall steps.
Yeah, it's the DMZ of teenagers.
Yeah, it's international waters.
The cops can't cross the pomerium of the town hall steps. You know.
Hey, clearly I'm on the bollard, all right? Everything's going to be fine.
How far down the bollard?
The bollard's getting interviewed by police. Where did the emo touch you?
The bollard's wearing the emo as a hat.
Is there a less attractive subculture than emo, though? It's just, it's very uncomfortable, the whole thing.
The fringe over one eye.
Yeah, and like the purple hair and the black nails and the, just me? All right.
Yeah, no, I do see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, I mean, goths are a slight version of that, right? I've seen some
Goths are a bit more normal looking than
Yeah.
emos, I think.
goths. I've seen some hot goth chicks.
Yeah.
I think goths put a bit more effort in. Like goths are a bit more theatrical.
Yeah. There's a storied tradition of goths. I mean, like, you know, they destroyed the Roman Empire.
This is where
What have emos done? Fucking you me at 6? Fuck off.
Tough guy Milo Edwards there. With the pillaging of Rome reference.
You me at 6? Where were you in AD 600, my friend?
My friend.
When we were destroying Ravenna.
just picturing hordes of people in leather jackets and platform heels storming the Colosseum.
Yeah.
Rome's burning, they're just lighting cigarettes off it.
Yeah. Then you got your Visigoths who had the gilets on. Yeah. They were more health and safety focused.
Oh, it's so funny, like the idea of a high Visigoth.
Yeah.
Love
There's
it.
One of those little like hard hats on with the stickers on it.
Yeah, but the hard hat's like pulled over one eye.
Yeah. Well, that'd be the Visi emo.
Yeah, it's true. I've never really figured out emo goth. What is the difference? Is there like a difference?
Oh, goth is a lot more like
Who's sadder? Are the emos sadder?
Yeah, emo
think
is
so,
more
yeah.
like, you know, you're listening to like My Chemical Romance and shit. Goth is much more like tending in like a kind of metal direction, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's a bit, the subculture is like a bit, the emo subculture is more like, well, it comes from the word emotional, right? It's like
Yes.
kind of being like, oh, I'm sad team, whereas goth is more like, you know, like, oh, the devil or whatever. Like, it's a bit more pentagrams and shit.
Here we go. Emo culture is more introspective and focused on personal emotions, while goth culture tends to be more interested in exploring dark themes and alternative lifestyles.
That was almost exactly what Milo just said. I found that very impressive.
Alternative lifestyles like meth, for example.
So I mean, obviously knowing all this already, what were you, goth or emo? Come on, man.
I was neither.
Ah.
I was, just regular.
They were still too mainstream.
Yeah. That was right. I was hanging out with my mum, like a cool guy.
Yeah. I think like goths used to rave. That's like the only reason I kind of found them.
Yeah. The trouble I had as a teenager was that I reached this personality way too early. Like before people could appreciate how funny it is. Like I'm just like, you know, we're just like 11 and I'm just riffing. You know? And people are like that. You're gay.
Yeah, but that's funny. I love the idea that you didn't get funnier. The world just caught up.
Yeah.
I was like Galileo, you know,
Yeah.
just in my tower.
Exactly, yeah. But that did mean that I was like, I wasn't in the the bullied zone. Like I wasn't in the cool zone. But then the bullied kids were just like, they were incapable of seeing where their weak points were, and so they would never. Because I would just kind of like,
but I'm not gay.
yeah. It just get really bad. Well, there was a guy in my school who like, you know how bullies would sometimes like cross-examine you like a prosecutor just to wait for you to say something they could bully you about, and he had just not picked up on this, so the bullies would start conversations with him and he would entertain it rather than just being like fuck off immediately. And we were on a school trip somewhere, and so probably was like leaning over the coach seat talking to him, and they're like, "What did you do at the weekend, mate?" And he panicked, and he said, God. Top Gear in like exactly that voice. People said Top Gear at this man
Blood
for
in the water.
6 years.
Blood in the water.
Oh man, it was real bad.
Such a thing about high school. You're only ever 5 seconds away from a lifelong nickname. You know?
Yeah.
It was a guy at my school who was like captain of the first 15. He ended up captaining the Melbourne Rebels. One day at school assembly, he was giving a report about a rugby trip that they'd all been on. And he goes, but on another note, he's been Noid ever since. He got married last year. His best man referred to him as Noid in the speech.
Amazing. Melbourne Rebels is also such a funny 2 words to put next to each other. One of the least rebellious places I have ever been.
Yeah. Dude, I love that. Noid. And people say men don't listen. You know?
Oh yeah. When there's blood in the water, we're listening.
Dude.
Top Gear.
Top Gear, top queer. Am I right? We got him.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I wish I was there. I would have lit that kid up.
I think he later got involved with the far right. So bullying does work.
It does work. And I'm sure he's got a more successful podcast than us.
Probably, yeah. A lot of listeners. Interesting guy.
He's just up like, how can I be more like Jeremy Clarkson one day?
What if I was racist?
The most bullied child in the world.
I remember
White power. Yeah. But anyway, don't clip that out of context. but really racist Jeremy Clarkson is like a fun bit.
I remember I beat up a guy in my grade, but I was like,
no, that's the clip.
We'll clip this up. Very good. We're on it.
because he follows me.
It sounds like you were following him.
I beat him up when I was like 17, and then like years later,
So much older than I was thinking this would be.
16 or something.
Well, he was 30.
And then I saw him like many years later at a pub, and he was like fucking jacked. And he was like, "Oh, hey man, just want to know, like, when I left school, like after you'd beat me up that time, I joined the army, and then like I got into MMA, and now I fight people, and I'm a bouncer, and I've like beaten up like I've gotten like over like 200 fights. So if you ever want to fight anytime, I'd love to do it with you."
You altered the course of this man's life. Does he not see how he's lost here? You've given him such a trauma that he joined the army to get back at you.
Yeah, you're like, mate, I always saw something in you, and I'm so glad I was able to bring it out.
You were just like on mushrooms, just like, yeah, man.
I thought so terrible, but now he comes to all my shows. He's
just waiting for a fight outside.
He's outside. He's not in the room. He's just standing at the door.
Pacing.
Yeah,
I love that you're a more effective recruiting tool for the army than Top Gun. If Hammer beats you up at 17, like, fuck, I've got to join. I've got to serve.
Yeah. It'll be at a
Someone
party.
in Afghanistan's going to pay.
I'll find out who like you've got a crush on, and I'll beat you up right in front of them, and then that'll be it.
Join the army. There we go. You'll be more effective than.
But
I thought you were trying to get a guy sympathy
but he
pussy
wanted
for
me
a
to
second.
fight him because he thought it would like I think maybe provide some closure.
Dude, you could have set him free. Like Dobby the house elf with the socks.
Imagine if you'd won again. just from pure grit. And like, he just doesn't have to
You're supposed to come full circle just for his peace of mind.
Yeah. But
I
just
just
immediately get him in a
But I
headlock.
just hit him with one good punch.
What would he join next? Like the Foreign Legion? Becomes a mercenary?
Oh, he's got one of them hats. Next time you see him, he's got the hat on with the chin strap. He's got a French passport. He's like, Andrew, I would like to fight you.
So, you, as the new baddest man on the planet, an UFC heavyweight champion, is there anything you haven't achieved yet? Yes. There's one mountain I've yet to climb. Hamo, I'm calling you out.
There is one man on the Flog Cabin podcast. I have yet to defeat this man in single combat.
His dad actually called my dad. It was like, we're going to file like a...
We're going to fight. Double generation win.
We're like,
Tag team?
Yeah.
we were like, they were like, we're going to file like an assault, a recorded assault against Andrew unless he signs this non-disclosure. And so I had to sign like a
He had to sign an affidavit saying this guy's not a person.
He says on his podcast.
What was the term of this non-disclosure, you fucking moron?
I wasn't allowed to talk about it.
For how long?
There's got to be an expiry on
All
this
right,
shit.
we're gonna have to start,
Not necessarily.
we're gonna have to start this podcast again.
But so he'd go to school and say,
Imagine
like,
getting recalled to jail for that.
So I don't ever recall signing it, but I think there was just talk of it. Because, but I remember I went to school and he's telling everyone that I punched him and then ran away out of fear, and I was like, so I couldn't contradict it until now.
Until now.
Setting the record straight.
Hamo tried to get them to sign an NDA. Like, you can't be telling people I ran away. I sound like a bitch.
I ran away to get my cardio in.
All right, let's get together, figure out our story. We just both got to look good. It's like Vin Diesel and The Rock in Fast and Furious, where they punch each other the same number of times in every fight.
Is this because you watched Fast X last night? Is that why you bring that up?
Yep. Yep. I remember. Yep. That's the thing.
Fast X also sounds like a boner pill.
Our next sponsor.
It's It's very like posh parents to be doing a non-disclosure agreement about a fight your children got into.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
You might have beat him out there, but we're going to beat you in the courtroom.
Where it really matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember like sometimes I would get into fights at school and then the teachers would always be like, we're going to phone your parents. And I'd be like, make my day. They always regretted this decision every time. There was one time when I was like 13, the captain of the school rugby team is one of those kids who like hit 6'2" at the age of 7. Just like an absolute unit of a guy. I'm like, Milo, I'm 5'2". And he just like punched me like really hard in the chest for like no reason. And I was like, right, fucker, it's on. So I wait for his like guard to be down. He's like prowling around like gloating about this. I get up, I bounce off the bottom step of a staircase and like crack him in the mouth as hard as I can and then just carry on up the staircase. It turns out I like knocked one of his teeth out or something. And then so we both get like hauled in. And then the guy phones my mum and she's like, isn't he like a full foot taller than Milo? And then he's like, yeah. And he's like, so do you think Milo started this fight? And he's like, no. And she's like, don't fucking call me at work. And he puts the phone down.
I've never heard a story sound more like fan fiction.
So I knocked out this 7-foot dude and
I didn't knock him out. Let's be clear.
And then I fucked Hermione Granger.
Yeah.
I got up at a threesome and I turned down.
And then I woke up.
Yeah, so about the stories you told on this podcast is had a gun pointed at me, didn't feel shit. Got offered a threesome, turned it down, knocked out the captain of the rugby team.
Allow me to be clear. Under most circumstances, if someone pointed a gun at me, I would be very scared. I would give you whatever you wanted. It was just something about that guy. He didn't have a pulling the trigger vibe. And I can't explain
His
it.
heart wasn't in it.
As someone who spent 2 years in Russia, fluent in propaganda, I get it.
Yeah. That's right. And Mr. Putin, great man. Many people, they do not understand the strategy. You know he invented fidget spinner. We thought this would be a very interesting piece of technology for the colleagues in the West.
I'm just imagining like Trump and Putin meeting and Putin handing Trump a fidget spinner and Trump's just enamored by it.
So what
Just can't stop looking away.
Oh, he
Just
would
looking at
love
the thing.
it.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
the whole time. It's like, so you're just going to give us the list of all your assets in America? And he's like, yeah, it spins.
Great spin.
I walked in here, it was spinning.
One of my best Russian mates, his dad was at the time he worked for Putin, or he worked in the Russian government, and he was trying to get my friend to take a job in the Russian government. He was like, "Fuck you, I'm not doing that, man. The Russian government sucks." And then he was like, you will come to a presentation, and I'll explain to you how things really work in this country and why Putin is a great man. You bring your friends. If at the end of the presentation you still think Putin is bad man, fine. And then he's like, well, so obviously I told my dad to go fuck himself, and I'm like, what? I want to go. I'm like, what do you mean you turned down the presentation about why Putin is a great man?
I love
You just want to hear the pitch at least, right?
Yeah.
the Russian government.
And I'm
is
sure I'm going to find out classified information also.
the Russian government is just a timeshare operation. Come along, hear what it's about. Get 2 tickets to a concert if you come along.
Yeah, and Putin is surprisingly cheap, actually.
Imagine the presentation.
And
The
he holds
first,
his value.
the first slide is just Putin with a gun pointed at him being like, I'm not scared. The second slide is Putin having a threesome offered to him and he's like, I've got a girlfriend. The third slide is Putin punching a guy in the mouth, knocked his tooth out. He's a great man.
And it's called a Putin point presentation over there.
Have you heard of the time I found a huge Greek vase under the sea? I should have brought that up earlier, really. Or the time I tranquilized a tiger. One time I was riding a horse with my shirt off. Looking pretty good. Paparazzi were there, obviously.
Got voted best show in this festival. 92% of votes. 92% of votes.
Crazy.
I got into an argument on Twitter yesterday with a guy who won the X Factor in 2004.
In
Australia or here?
In the UK.
Wow.
This guy called Steve Brookstein, who's he's famous for having never had a career after the X Factor.
Did he go to school with you?
No, he's way older. He's in his 50s, but apparently he has become a conspiracy nutcase in the meantime. And then so I did some post about a week ago, which he somehow has just found, about how there were loads of crazy people saying that the CIA, MI6, and Ukrainian intelligence had planned that terror attack in Moscow. Which is just, it makes no sense. It doesn't benefit them in any way. And then the US government produced all these receipts of the CIA warning the FSB that this was going to happen. They were like, yeah, all of our listening stations are there's going to be a massive terror attack in Moscow, and the FSB were like, fuck you, we will not listen to American dogs. I was like, yeah, this shit is crazy. Why do people think this? And then he was like, yeah, you're a fucking idiot. You don't understand what's really going on. And I'm like, and you do?
Do some independent research. Open your eyes. Wake up, sheeple.
But what's so funny is that his entire Twitter account is him yelling at people about how the machinations of the CIA and Israel or whatever. And then his Instagram is just here's me singing Smooth Operator. it's 2 different guys. I had to actually check it was the same guy.
If you can't handle me at my Twitter, you don't deserve me at my Instagram.
That's right, yeah.
Dude.
I have a crazy uncle who he used to live in a hut behind Hornsby Pool, which is where I grew up, Hornsby.
Right.
And
Wait.
Why was why is there a hut behind the pool?
it was bushland.
Oh,
Bushland.
sorry.
He lived in the bush.
I thought it was the pool grounds and there's just a hut in the corner. It's that's Uncle Hammer.
Bushland, and he lived in a hut. But for some reason, he also tried to put out his own music albums every now and then.
Awesome Uncle Energy, yeah, love it.
And because no one would work with him, he released this Christmas album where he did the vocals, and then he did his own backing vocals.
Right.
Sick.
So it'd be this is Christmas. This is Christmas. It was just the same guy.
That has huge only child energy.
Yeah.
As one, I can say that.
He came to my sister's wedding, and my dad paid for the whole wedding. And my dad's not strong on the chat. So he just went up to.
Well, he signed that non-disclosure agreement. He can't say anything, that guy. And he's she's my daughter, very proud, thank you.
And he's gone up to Michael, who lived in the hut behind the Hornsby Pool, and gone hello, Michael. How did you get here today? Just to have some friendly chat. And Michael looked at him and goes, "What the fuck's it got to do with you?"
What, do you want to follow me home?
It rattled my dad so much he didn't talk to anyone for an hour at the wedding that he'd paid the whole thing for.
Is this your dad's brother or your mum's brother?
This is it's my dad's first wife. Di's brother. So the uncle of my siblings.
Her name is Di? Okay.
Yeah.
Because the way you said that, first wife's dies, I was is that another verb?
Wife, Diane.
Got it. Excellent. Here we
Her
go.
brother. Yeah. But anyway,
And he got invited to the wedding.
well, it's my sister's wedding, and so her uncle.
So it's your
Right,
sister's mum's brother,
Yep.
but not your mum's brother.
Yes, correct.
Got it.
There you go.
Cool.
Yep.
We're there.
And
I love the idea of that. Like, you divorced my sister and now you want to fucking speak to me? I got some fucking pool tools back in the ute.
But yeah.
Wait, don't forget I mentioned the ute. It's none of your business how I got here. I could have ridden here on a fucking cow for all you know.
Wait,
Yeah.
what was the Christmas album called?
Oh, I couldn't tell you now. I just remember hearing it and just us like having to like politely listen to it and be like,
Did he play the whole album? Did you have a listening party?
It was just at a Christmas event. He was there and it was put on for a bit, and it was like the trouble of black people trying to say nice things, but also like trying to like not laugh.
Santa buddy, slip a holding under the tree for me and a case of VB. Pretty please. Yeah, there we go. We could do this. That could be merch.
It's beginning to smell a lot like Christmas. Chlorine. I live behind a pool.
Not in a noncy way.
I mean, Chris Franklin's just at a pub across the road right now. We could get him in.
We can get him in.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the hut.
Nothing was stirring, not even a mutt.
The hottest 100, 2024.
There we go.
Hottest 100.
We're on. We're doing all right in the cabin. Fuck, I was looking down at him for living in a hut. We're a fucking cabin.
Nah, that's true.
We're like one step above a hut. A hut is better than a cabin, right?
No, I think cabin's better than a hut.
I think so too.
Cabin's better than a hut.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
A hut implies some kind of straw.
Yeah.
A cabin implies wood and Swedes.
Yeah, or like Wattle and Daub.
I question this.
Watland Orb?
Yeah.
What's Watland Orb?
Oh, do you not know about this?
There have
This
been a
is
lot
like
of references you've made. I've just nodded along to be honest.
That is every conversation I have with Milo, including his podcast where he talked about chaff for 20 minutes.
Chaff?
Chaff?
I thought it was like wheat in like the
Oh, wheat and
the
chaff?
Byzantine Empire or some shit.
Like
Chaff is like what they take off of wheat.
separating wheat from the chaff.
Yeah, but see?
I don't
Chaff,
know
chaff.
that much about wheat
Chaff.
beyond what he just said. I don't know what's so complicated about this.
Council housed and friendly.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, basically, wait, what the fuck was I talking about? Oh yeah, Wattle and Daub, right? Yeah. So in like the medieval period or like the like kind of like the Dark Ages in Britain, people used to make houses out of this thing, which was kind of like shit and straw mixed together, like to make kind of like rudimentary bricks or like walls.
Like animal shit? Or human shit?
Yeah, I think mostly animal shit. I would presume. Yeah, and that's called Wattle and Daub. It's like kind of a building material.
Wattle and Orb?
Wattle and Daub.
And Daub.
Yeah.
Daub. When you first said, I thought you said Watland Orb.
Yeah,
And I was
Ah.
like, what is that? It sounds magic. I'm
Yeah, I
pumped.
I think it's where we get the verb daub from, or,
Yeah.
or either the verb daub produced the noun daub. I don't know.
we're gonna have to start again with Daub.
It did sound like if you've been to the British Museum, they got a display of the Watland Daub.
the Wattle and Daub.
Got to go see the Watland Daub.
You got it. You got it.
I think a hut is less stable than a cabin.
I'd agree.
All right, three little piggies. Let's go through it.
Well, hut really covers a multitude of sins. Like a hut could effectively be a tent, but it could also be something as sturdy as like a shed or a yurt.
A yurt is a hut, isn't it? Yeah.
I would say, yeah.
But then, like, the hutch is different. That's where you keep the rabbits.
Yeah, and rabbits, you know, people you don't like.
Yeah. Yeah. I just remembered Andrew Wolf was talking about when he lived in South Africa and the help living in the hutch. That's where I got that word from.
In the hutch.
God.
South Africa really is quite something, isn't it?
Yep.
Well, we've lost our Perth listeners.
And everybody who lives north of the bridge in Sydney. Yep. Sorry, St Ives. We loved having you. Yeah.
It's always so funny when a place in Australia has a name like St Ives. I'm like, it's always because it never corresponds to the. I mean, the fact that it's called New South Wales is so funny. If you've been to South Wales,
Yeah. Significantly less knives in New South Wales than in South Wales.
yeah. And a lot less rain too.
Yeah. Love that I went knives. You're like, weather. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, South Wales is not that stabby. It's
Ooh.
really depends where you go, but I mean, a lot of it is just fields. I mean, I don't know. The cows are gonna. What are you doing here, pal? Trying to milk me, are you, fella? Oh, you're in the wrong fucking valley, you are. I mean, like maybe Newport is a bit.
Yeah,
bit stabby, I
Newport.
don't know.
But like
Yeah.
Swansea as well, bro.
I don't know much
You ever
about
been?
Swansea.
I've been to Swansea like 5 times and I
Okay.
have no idea why. Just one of those. I just kept getting gigs in Swansea.
Oh, okay. They like you over there.
No.
Bring
Judging
back
by the
that
response.
Daniel Margot. I liked him. Do you reckon they thought you were Welsh? They thought like Mugo or some kind of like old Welsh. They've anglicised it to Muggleton, but he's Mugo. With like a W in it. You know?
Fuck, maybe. It's like keep going there. They're just confused by me. I think we should finish. I think we're done. I think we did it.
I think we'll wrap it
What a
up.
good innings.
We potted pretty goddamn hard just there.
Yeah. Before our erections fade.
Oh, they'll never
Mine
fade with
never
Pilot.
fades.
Yeah.
Hard made easy.
We definitely hit a whole new height of number of accents on the podcast today, purely of Milo.
Oh, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my
very
good
good.
accents, like, usually it's left to like me, and I suck. But I give it a go.
Yeah, we didn't mention kebabs once, so Dan had no in.
That's 100% of my range.
No one got called the boss man on this episode of the podcast.
Oh, actually, fuck, that was due. Because I'm staying in Caulfield, which is a very Jewish area of Melbourne. Yesterday, I had a KSP,
Oh, a kosher,
snack pack.
kosher snack pack.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Any good?
I was very similar.
Mm.
It's almost like culturally,
Yeah.
they're quite similar.
Oh,
Yeah.
that reminds me. I'd forgotten to ask: is Russian food any good?
Like traditional Russian food, yes. The kind of food most Russians eat, no. Like,
What do they eat?
so lots of like old Soviet, old like imperial Russian recipes that the aristocrats used to eat, which were mostly invented by like French chefs.
Yeah.
So like, there's this traditional like, have you ever had a Russian salad? Have you come across that on a menu somewhere? You quite often get it as part of like tapas or something. It's kind of like a mayonnaise based like
got
chicken
walnuts
and
and
veg
stuff?
and potato salad. Not normally walnuts, no.
Okay. I'm
But
thinking of
yeah,
different things.
and the original like it's called this because it was come up with by this French chef called Olivier, who worked for one of the like Russian aristocrats, and so it's called Olivier. But the original recipe is like it has like capers and langoustines and all kinds of stuff in it. And the Soviets came in and they like officially revised the recipe. They were like langoustines, fuck that, tinned ham. Like, and so yeah, they made a lot of. But there's like a restaurant in Moscow called Cafe Pushkin where they serve all like traditional, and it's pretty good. But yeah, they eat a lot of like. It's kind of like most places in the West where they mostly eat food that isn't theirs. Like you can get really good like Georgian food, Uzbek food, stuff like that. That's what I would recommend.
And just to preempt Hamo, what is Georgian and Uzbek food?
Georgian food is a lot of like cheese, meat, and salads. Like
Yeah,
they do like a kind of like a cheese boat bread thing. It's pretty good called khachapuri.
That sounds good.
Cheese
and
boat bread thing. That sounds.
It is pretty
fantastic.
good. It is pretty good. And a lot of like grilled meat. Uzbek is more like plov and stuff. It's kind of like imagine like biryani, but a bit more Central Asian. Like they eat a lot of that. Yeah. Yeah, that kind of like rice cooked in lamb fat with bits of lamb and carrot and stuff like that. Yeah, it's pretty good Uzbek food. And they have this bread that's shaped like a donut, but it's not like a bagel. It's like huge.
It's a huge bagel.
And it's seeded. Yeah, it's kind of flat on the bottom. It's not like fully round. Yeah, that's my.
How many other food questions? Any other delicacy you'd like to know about?
I needed to ask about this.
Yeah.
That was the main reason why I
important.
was.
If you go to Russia, the most important phrase to know is no dill, please, because they will put dill on anything. I've had dill on pizza. I've had dill on carbonara. I've had dill on sushi.
I was
like
informed
dill.
the most
Why not?
important phrase to know was hands up.
You don't want to be saying hands up in Russia. They're going to take that pretty poorly.
No, that's
so
why they
they're
say
dill
hands
heavy.
up, so you can, they can put the dill on your food. And just like hands up, like bang. You're like, fuck, again.
Oh yeah, it's real bad. I was on a Russian train once, and I ordered the carbonara because my Russian friend was like, "It's actually not that bad."
On a train?
Yeah, in like a restaurant car.
Oh.
Oh yeah, Russia's like the 50s. Like they're just like it's like the dining car.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of sick going on Russian trains. They're like it's like you feel like you're in like Poirot or something.
Yeah. I'm used to like English trains where it's like, would you like crisps or a
The
sad
toilet is
sandwich?
overflowing with shit. Yeah. So yeah, we went to the dining car. We ordered carbonara. It took like 45 minutes to come, and then it's actually kind of okay, and it had dill on it, of course. But then it was so cheap that then the woman comes over and she's like, "Oh, do you want a dessert?" And we're like, yeah, fuck it, why not? So she brings the dessert menu over. On the dessert menu is apple strudel, vanilla ice cream, separate items, or like coffee. And then so we're like, me and Irina are looking at each other and we're like, well, the thing to have would really be apple strudel and ice cream, but like I know this country and that might shatter this woman's brain. Like it's the kind of country where like they're like, no, you pick one thing. We do not mix the items. Not okay, not allowed. I will call police. Like, and then say the woman comes back over and I'm like, would it be possible to have 2 portions of apple strudel but like with the vanilla ice cream? And the woman goes, unfortunately, we do not have apple strudel. And I'm like, well, I guess we'll just have the vanilla ice cream then. She goes, unfortunately, we do not have vanilla ice cream. And then I'm like, why did you bring me this menu? And then she just kind of shrugs in this way as to say, I asked if you wanted to see menu. I did not say.
So you end up getting a coffee with dill on it, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's the good shit. They call that the Rossiano. There was actually a time it was when I was there. It was like when all the Crimea stuff was kicking off, where loads of coffee shops stopped calling it an Americano because like, well, we hate the Americans, so they started calling it a Rossiano. But an Americano is called an Americano to take the piss out of Americans because Italians were like the fucking gay Americans order this stupid coffee that we would never drink, and so it was like kind of like they've kind of turned the insult on the Russians.
That's great.
Those 2 girls could have learned something from that waitress where they could have been like, we didn't say we wanted to have a threesome with you. We just asked if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And I was like, fine, bring me a coffee.
No dill.
I'll have an Australiano, please.
Dill or no dill? Nah, that's lame.
An Australiano, it's mostly milk.
Australiano is a white coffee.
I
Coffee
think
was never black.
Yeah, didn't there used to be coffee in this? I don't remember.
Maybe years ago.
We'd like to acknowledge the traditional owner of the cup. All right, Milo, where can people find you? We don't know when this will go out, so maybe just the generic plug,
Okay,
as opposed to an Australian tour plug. Or do you want an Australian tour plug? Are you sold out?
No, the tour's not sold out. It's selling well, but it's not sold out. So I mean, if this is out before like the middle of April,
Maybe we could release this. We'll get into it. I'll fill around with this.
I have I'm a
Do the
Melbourne
plug
Comedy
and I can cut it
Festival
if not.
right now. I have Sydney on the 12th of April, Newcastle on the 14th of April, Canberra on the 15th of April, Adelaide on the 17th of April, and Perth on the 19th of April.
Busy boy.
That's right. And if not, you can find me. I'm going to fight this guy after the show.
Hammer, don't go near any steps. That's where he gets his power.
And if not, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. And I have 3 podcasts. If you like this, probably Glue Factory is the one for you. It's another video podcast where we talk shit.
And if they don't like this?
If they don't like this, maybe Trashfuture. If you were really offended by this, maybe Trashfuture.
All right. But can you just say stay flogged up into the camera, then Tom's going to say the next thing, then Hammer's going to say bye.
Okay. Stay flogged up.
Check the dodgems.
Bye.